time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. I'll see you now. For anyone old enough that actually remembers that commercial, salute to you. But also trying to be a little bit quiet as the wife is a little under the weather. And this setup is by the kids' room. But anywho, the Devils win, baby, off of a HaTimo Meyer hat trick. Feels good, feels good. For anyone that's been watching this channel since the very beginning, you know I'm a very big HaTimo Meyer advocate. We've had some good games in the past. We've had some not so good ones. We've had this good stretch recently, but this game was definitely a capstone. Want to go ahead and say this right off the top. It was not because that he went back over to the right wing side. Leading up to this game, he had 3 goals in 3 straight games, all on the left wing. He had 4 goals and 2 assists for 6 points, and no, 4 goals and 3 assists? 4 goals and 2 assists in the last 6. So he was 1 point over the game played. So it was either 4 goals, 3 assists and 6, or 4 goals, 2 assists and 5. Whatever it was, another 3 goals tonight to add to that total. One of which was on the power play, so the wing doesn't matter there. Another one, which was a straight change directly off of the bench, so which wing side you play doesn't matter there. And then, yeah, sure, he did have another one off of being completely net front with Palat on the left side. So if you have any right wing argument, it's there, but I would just say it's because he's a very good player who is finally seemingly fully healthy and is playing on a line with 2 other really skilled guys in Nico Hischier and Andre Palat. So it has been mostly a deployment thing, in my opinion, as far as his line mates and then not getting top power play time. That has been the issue. Left wing, right wing, I think he can play either and be just as efficient on both sides, as really that position is fairly fluid. If you're on the left wing, you're going to circle around the net, or on the right wing and circle around the net, as HaTimo loves to do. It's kind of just his jam and his thing. And so wingers kind of very fluidly flip sides, switch sides throughout the run of 5-on-5 play. And that's just kind of how it goes, which is why wing side doesn't truly matter for most guys in the NHL. Now, there are some nuanced things where it does matter, especially for defensemen, but wingers, there's cases where it does matter, whether it's one-timer options, taking pucks off the board, stuff like that. But all in all, full game perspective, it's not the biggest difference maker. You're talking fractions of a fraction here, at least as far as HaTimo's concerned. I'd say some players it matters more than others, but no, HaTimo, it's just not the game he plays. So feels good. It was basically a start to finish, really strong win. The only goal we did give up, as I will mention now, Devils win 4-1 over the St. Louis Blues with the HaTimo Meyer hat trick and an empty net goal by Erik Haula. We have assists from pretty much all the big boys. We got Jack Hughes, we got Nico in there. Nico has been on a just absolutely crazy run as of late. He has been arguably the best player for the Devils here in the past few weeks or so. So shout out to the captain, hence the jersey. All in all, yeah, the team played great. The one goal we did give up, I really blame on the refs, more so because Nemec absolutely drilled one of the refs with a puck on a clearing attempt. The puck stays in, obviously, because of that. St. Louis is able to get a cycle going with some tired players that should have switched off on a change when the puck was cleared, but couldn't. And a few shot chances that were saved, a few shots that were blocked, but eventually a puck goes off the post directly to another Blues player, wide open net, goal. I have no issues with Dawes' play at all on that goal. I have no issues with his play, even on some shots that weren't goals, as I will call out players. Even if a goal isn't scored against, it is, from my perspective as a fan, it is process over product. I am not a results-driven analyst by any means. It is about the just run of play, and so this was a really good one. St. Louis, we absolutely dominated the first. St. Louis bounced back a little bit in the second, but I would say for mostly actually even play overall. And then, while I wasn't the biggest fan of our third period, I felt like we did step back a little bit, trying to protect the lead, as opposed to digging in kind of as we did last season. I understand it a little bit. It did work out, so no real issues there, as the result at this time of the year is really what matters at this point. Flyers did win as well. I didn't really check on any other games, but Penguins are getting absolutely blown out, so I'm assuming they had to have lost that one to Washington. So at least that game wasn't a 3-point game. But I would have taken Washington over Penguins in that one. I think Penguins are potentially the bigger threat as far as making the playoffs, but it sounds like they're sellers as well. And now I'll finally get to the elephant in the room. Tyler Toffoli is on the block to be traded. It seems like almost a lock. The Kings are favorited. I have heard whispers and rumors of the Rangers in there. While I'm sure there's been discussions, I'm not quite sure that one happens without it being a pretty good package. And the fact that they didn't put that together to get Gensel makes me think they're not going to put it together to give it to us for Toffoli. So Kings seem like the most obvious of trade partners. Give me a first. Honestly, I will take either this year or even next year. Sounds pretty good. I think there's even an outside chance the Kings fall out of playoffs. Very outside. I think, if I was betting, I would say they make it, but there is that outside chance this year they miss, and that pick becomes a lot more valuable. Or even next year you take it and hope that they kind of run into a little bit of goaltending issues or other issues, injuries. You never know what's going to happen the year after. As Devil fans, we can speak to that very fully. So a first round pick for sure. I would think it almost has to be in the package for Toffoli, and then a pretty decent prospect, or even take a depth roster player. I trust Fitz on the trade front, really, especially a trade like this. So I'm going to assume whatever the return is going to be the best we were going to get. And as reported on during this game, we might revisit bringing Toffoli back, kind of similar to how we did with Vatanen. So you like it? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to keep Toffoli and extend it, but from the sounds of it, they were just too far apart on the contract. At his age, I'm not giving the term or AAV that he probably was asking for. So absolute shout out to Fitz for this one. Now, if we're talking trades for Fitz, I'm going to call it the McDermott one, because so far I haven't seen him throw a big hit, be that physical presence at all that he was brought in to be. It sounds like, what a lot of Devil fans have been saying. He was brought in to fight Rempe for the one Rangers game, maybe, but he was healthy scratched and likely might not even start a game again for the Rangers this season, so that's out the window. And he took a really, really stupid penalty with that slashing play. He had a couple board plays that led to losing possession as well. So, yeah, not super impressed by him. But at that point in the season, he's getting minimal minutes a night. Really, the whole bottom six I was not impressed with much at all. That includes Mercer, that includes Holtz. But they're not playing with the absolute best. I mean, Lazar's been fairly solid, but I think he really will do his work more so on the fourth line, or maybe, third line, winger. But I'm not really the biggest fan of, like center Lazar in the bottom six. But is what it is. You kind of take it as it goes. Sounds like we might actually retool a little bit in the depth position, as well as maybe a stopgap goalie that's on an expiring contract, just to kind of let Dawes or Schmidt go back down to Utica and get a lot more starts, as they're both really young goalies and just need to play. So, yeah, I think that really covers it. I mean, Jack got an assist. He had lots of chances, a couple really close ones early on. Maybe trailed off a little bit, but not too much. We had that really great play where Holla should have had a tap in off Bratt. That didn't happen. I really love Jack and Bratt back together. Is Holla the best third man on that line? Probably not. Is Holtz? Probably not either. At all, to be honest, especially given that Jack is maybe apparently nursing a bit of an injury, not taking any face-offs at all, hence not playing at the center position, and really just staying in that winger spot. So moving into next year, if Toffoli isn't brought back, if you really like this Palat, Nico, Timo line, there's also the Timo, Nico, Bratt line, which also worked really well. Really, either of those combos keep Nico and Timo together, obviously. I did really, really like Palat there. God, that line looked obnoxious to play against. Everything along the board, super skilled passing plays, guys that can rip it, guys that can take a body in the front, just everything. That line, I really do like the construction of that line, at least through one. And yeah, it's just the St. Louis Blues, but it'll be really tested in this next one against Carolina, which is a pretty huge game. If we manage to pull that one off, well, obviously we'll know how the trade deadline has played out before that game, but if there is still that off chance that we can pull Markstrom in some way, shape, or form, Toffoli's offloaded for maybe Kaliev out of or Turcotte out of Los Angeles, bring in Markstrom, those guys slide into the roster, a run is not out of the question. We're not that far out that it's impossible, but it is an uphill climb for sure. The Luke Nemec line, I thought was pretty solid. I actually liked the defensive pairings for the most part. Again, really the only goal was while Luke and Nemec were out, but that was, I'm going to give that up to a failed clear attempt because it hit the ref. Yes, the ref is part of the ice. You got to play around that. Yes, there was still a lot of run of play after that you still have to play through and do things, but hey, giving up one goal, not going to complain too much there, especially when the PK really came through for us tonight. Yes, again, it was the St. Louis Blues. And yes, again, Cairo missed the widest of open nets. Brother Cairo, thank you for that one, because who knows how this game plays out if you pot that one in. So, going to go ahead and call it there. Let's see how the trade deadline plays out. And then it's back to Carolina. And who knows? Again, even if we are full-on sellers and this run is still, but Timo's playing like this, Jack ramps it up even a little bit. Nico keeps on this run. Brett finds the score sheet a little bit more. There's enough talent on this team to, surprise some people. That chip on your shoulder or all the weights off your back because you're considered sellers and no one's expecting to make it at this point anyway. Well, yeah, who knows? Again, I am the perpetual optimist until the time that we are officially out of it. So, while I will obviously acknowledge the steep hill that this is, it is still climbable. So, as always, and forever, let's go Devils, baby.